Hey, Coach, just wondering, you had Juwan and Gary up there, wondering how they've been in practice. I mean, do you think they're both 100%?
Juwan's been terrific. Gary's been good. Probably not as bouncy as what Juwan's been, but they're both good. They're both going to go.
Other questions? Here's Rusty on our right.
Rusty Miller from AP. I just wonder, from what you've seen on video, what concerns you the most about Buffalo and their style of play? Does it coincide with what you would like to do in a lot of ways?
Well, I think the biggest thing is they really try to play downhill. They do a great job of pushing tempo. They do a great job of creating numbers. But that's kind of what we like to do too. So, and I think they've taken on Bobby's personality. I think they're extremely competitive and play extremely hard.
Okay, questions? Here's one. Marla on our right.
Marla Reibnauer from the Akron-Beacon Journal. I know it's been a lifetime ago, but do you remember anything about your first NCAA appearance, or were you just kind of swept up in the madness of it all?
Yeah, I remember we lost. Well, we led at halftime, I think. We led at halftime and played the best team in the country at that time, the #1 ranked team in the country. And I remember being incredibly proud of the guys I had. I mean, I had a walk-on start at 2 guard and a football player play center, so I was extremely proud of their effort and what they did that game.
Okay, we continue on the right side here.
Rossi, Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Bob, a lot of the players for both teams have talked about hearing about stories and anecdotes about what it's like to play in the tournament. With your experience, when you have players that haven't had that experience of the tournament, do those stories really help? And when do you notice the experience sort of kicking in?
I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I went to Cincinnati. They hadn't been in the tournament for a long time. First 2 years we were in NIT, and in '92 we go to the Final Four. In '93 we go to the Elite Eight and lose to Carolina in overtime, who won a national championship. And those guys hadn't been in an NCAA tournament. The majority of those guys were first-year guys. So I really don't think it has a lot to do with anything. It's just, you go play basketball. And hopefully you have a good day and make some shots.
Okay, continuing, there's one on our left in the aisle.
Bob, I just wondering about the run-up to this game. It's been much about Buffalo and Hurley, and the president picked Buffalo to beat you guys. And how much have you used that and challenged the guys?
Mitch, I haven't. I think they're aware of it. Obviously, they watch ESPN, but I haven't said a word about it. It comes down to we have to go do what we're good at doing and try to do what we do better than they do what they do. And all that other stuff, it sounds good and it gives you a column to write, which I know you struggle mightily at times to do. And but in terms of winning and losing the game, I don't think it has much to do with anything. See, Dave, you're laughing because you know it's the truth.
On our right here.
Bob, does the leadership group of this team, at least the guys you count on, compare favorably to any teams you've coached that have had success in tournaments past?
Well, we've had a hard year in some ways. We lose Juwan early, and he misses the first week and a half of practice. And really, he and Gary and Devin Williams are the guys that we have back that had some experience. And Gary was terrific. I can't say enough good things about how good Gary was in terms of his work ethic, his attitude. The way he tried to get other people to understand what we did. Devin was the same way with the bigs. I mean, those guys were terrific. And then we get Wani back, and then Wani gets sick the first conference game, and then we don't have Devin the Oklahoma game, and then Wani goes down, and Gary goes down, and you walk into Lawrence and Allen Fieldhouse with 2 freshman guards, and they were fine. I mean, I think it's so much more about personalities. I mean, the two freshmen we got going to walk in anywhere without any fear. That never registers with them. They love to play. They love to play. They love to compete, and I think because of that, we're able to overcome some things. Somebody said the other day, well, you were whatever we were, 5-6 in your last 11 games. I said, let anybody else play who we played, and see what their record would be. We played whatever it is. We played the fifth most amount of ranked teams in the country, games against ranked teams. So, I mean, it's not like we haven't been tested. It's not like our freshmen haven't grown up a bunch. But the truth of the matter is, they never really. It wasn't like I had freshmen. They weren't apprehensive about anything, and they didn't fear anybody.
Other questions? Here's Marla again on our right.
Marla Ryder from Akron again. I just wondered, have you thought any about Dan Peters this season or in the last few days?
Well, I think about Pete all the time. We were very close from the time we were probably 19, 20 years old on, and so I mean, yeah, you think about him all the time. I talk to Danny Joe, periodically, but yeah, I mean, you can't spend that much time together. I mean, we literally spent a lot of days every waking hour together, so you can't be around somebody that much for that long and not think about it. I think about him. I think about Charlie Spoonhour. I think about somebody will say something and Spoon pops in my head. So, yeah, I think when you're around people and you have the kind of relationship that I had with those guys, you're going to think about them.
Other questions? There's one in front, Taylor, on our left.
Coach Jonathan Snyder, Big Four talk. What have you seen on film about Shannon Evans and Lamonte Beard in their backcourt and the challenges they present?
Well, I think they've got great speed with the ball, and they appear on film to be fearless. They continue to attack, and they've had games where they were down 14, and they're very capable of erasing big leads in a very short period of time. They're a good team. They're extremely well coached.
On our right, in the middle here.
Coach, Michael Carvelli from Blue Gold News. Juwan said earlier that one of the good things about this team is how much they all enjoy being together, and how that kind of didn't exist the last couple of years. There was a little bit of a divide on the team. Was there a point early on where you saw something click with this group, or you saw that they could be a special group?
Well, I think the thing that was most evident from the beginning and continues to be is their enthusiasm. I mean, they've just got great enthusiasm. They love to play. You have sometimes you have some teams where guys come in and it's like a chore for them to be there, and they don't act like they really want to be there. This team is not. It's not like they want to be there. They're extremely enthusiastic about being there. They want to get better. They love basketball, and I mean, if you think about it in anything, in any workplace, I mean, that's what you want. You want enthusiastic people who care, and these guys sincerely care. They've got great attitudes. They've got great enthusiasm. I have said for a long, long time, it's hard to motivate people to work hard and teach at the same time. If you're constantly trying to motivate them, you're spending your time trying to motivate them. You're not spending your time trying to teach them. And I think we've got better day in and day out because they come in with the idea that they're going to be enthusiastic, and and then we don't have to worry about motivating guys to be excited about it and to listen and to do things, because they already do that. So then you can coach them.
Other questions? Here's Rusty over here.
Bob, you're from Ohio and you've coached most of your college career in Ohio or close to it. I just wonder if it means anything extra just to be playing the game here.
No, not really. I'm not very nostalgic. You know, I've told this story several times, but at the risk of boring some of you, I grew up in a town of 500 people, 2 stoplights, and this guy used to come around and pick up Gene Ford and I. Gene's a coach at Muskingum College now, and he used to pick us up and take us to go play in different, towns around the area. And I got in a truck one day, and I looked, and he didn't have a rear view mirror, and I said, "Phil, you don't have a rear view mirror." He said, "Boy, we ain't going backwards." And I mean, that's kind of how I've lived my life. I don't look backwards. I don't have a rear view mirror. I just look forward.
Okay, we have any other questions? There's one over here.
Osworth with West Virginia Illustrated. Just wanted to ask you about, with Juwan Gary going down towards the end of the season, being out for a few games, how much or how beneficial was that for the other guys, Javon, Tariq, Daxter, to get that playing time and to get that experience, that added experience, starting games and all that?
Well, I think obviously it helped us. I think it helped probably JC more than Dax, in that JC became the point guard. So, the thing about being a point guard is you just don't have to know what you're supposed to do. You have to know what everybody's supposed to do. And really, what I don't think the vast majority of people didn't realize is we didn't just lose our point guard. We lost our point guard and our backup point guard, because if you remember, when Wani was out, we gave Gary the ball. So we lost both of our point guards and both of our guys with any experience at all. So giving JC the ball, now he understands, I think, so much better what's supposed to happen, where people are, and I think it'll help our offense because he does understand now to look here, and if that's not there, to look here, and so he's much better than just knowing what he's supposed to do now in terms of the overall what we're trying to accomplish.